Jeremy, as always, it's great to talk with you again. I think a really fun conversation to have today. It's this idea of substantial good. You'll see it on our website. You see it in our view books. You see it everywhere in all of our communications to students, prospects, even to our donors and investors. We want them to know about substantial good. That's the driving force behind what we're doing. Do you still see it that way? Have you actually said, nah, it's not important any longer?
Yes, I fully believe in that. I love that phrase in the mission statement about training global leaders to do substantial good in the world. What does that mean to you?
When I first got started, I was talking to a marketing professional, and she said, why did you put the word substantial in there? That's a big, blobby word. And it seems like it just kind of slows the case down. I said we're going to do good in the world. And I said we wanted to have a differentiation between how we're approaching good than what other people are. And the word substantial is that thing that pushes us into a good that really makes things better. Substantial good is when I actually affect, change people's lives, make things better for them and around them. That's when I know I've done something substantial. Is that how you see it, or you have different coloring on it?
Yeah, the substantial is key because on the one hand, it's not that all leaders are going to become leaders of nations and affect millions of lives. On the other hand, it's not that they're just going to go out and do one little good deed. Substantial is, of course, of a certain size, impact, importance. Of course, there's also the definition of the word substantial where it's real, it's tangible, it's not just imaginary. So our graduates are going out and doing something real, substantive, and with a high impact, at least on a certain community and group of people.
Right.
I love that combination, those two words together.
Yeah. The reason why we emphasize it is that there is a natural tendency, especially when it comes to higher ed recruiting. You have the power to do the things you want to do in the world. Get to the training so that you get the job you want and you create the future that you desire. I wanted to make sure that not only are we saying something a little bit differently, but we're also substantially doing something differently. We don't want any of our students to walk out of the Whigham School program just thinking, hey, now I'm set to make, a big a six-figure salary now, and I can do all kinds of wonderful things, start my own company, I can build my world, I can buy the second house, I can drive the fancy car. And some of our graduates are going to do that just because the world will reward them. And that's perfectly fine. No problems there. But I want their heart to be driven to, and you can use this training and my capabilities and my skills now that I have, that I garnered at the Whigham School, to do something that I know is going to have benefit and help others. That's the kind of leaders I think the world is missing. There are those that are out there. I'm not saying there are not people out there that are not doing this. What I'm saying is that they're in short supply, and we need to replenish the supply.
It's a short supply because it tends to be leaders working for their own good. And by good, in this case, I mean in a fairly crass sense. Self-interest, self-promotion. And of course, a lot of leaders will slap on language of, no, this is for the greater good, this is for society, but it doesn't actually pan out that way. And I really mean that across most sectors. You look at technology, finance, politics, broadly speaking, military, industry, and even in some cases, education. I think education of a lot of professions tends to be a little bit more outward focused, which is why what we're doing. But it's so hard to get people to work for the common good, much less to do substantial good.
Yes.
Now, of course, that does raise the question, so who gets to define what's good, right? I mean, do we need, the elite up here, the supposedly brilliant few or rich few or powerful few, defining it for everybody?
Oh, that's a great question. We could probably talk for hours now. You just opened up Pandora's box.
Yeah. We probably need to pull out some philosophy here. It needs to be said. It
needs to be said. But I think within the heart of every one of us, we know what good is. And we see it in children when they say, that's not fair, and all those kinds of things. There's a sense of something that happens within the heart of a human, that we really do want a world that is equitable, that is treating others fairly and with the same respect, that do unto others as you would have them do unto you kind of concept. Is throughout all of human history and all languages, all cultures, you see this kind of an idea overarching. And so our substantial good is geared toward that. It's second categorical imperative, Would I want what I'm doing right now to be the law of the land? I was on a customer service call yesterday, And I had this thought. They were inconveniencing me, and I was getting very frustrated. And I was thinking, I can just lash out here and just absolutely blister these people. And I realized if I were in their situation, would I want that to happen to me? And yes, and sometimes it makes us swallow our pride sometimes. But that, I think, is the good we're looking for. So that's kind of the baseline for me. How is it for you, Jeremy? Am I hitting on points that you disagree with or you think need embellishment?
I don't think I disagree with any of that. I do agree that something in us understands what's good, even if we have a very egotistical approach to leadership and viewing of others. At a minimum, it's something, what we want for ourselves is probably going to be good. Yeah. So we should want that for others. And you mentioned do unto others as you would do as you would have them do unto you. So you got the golden rule. And you did a study on this recently, kind of across religious and philosophical traditions for the book that's coming out. How many traditions did you look across that in some way define good as what others want?
I think probably about 3 or 4 dozen that I started with, and I narrowed it down for the books to some interesting combinations that hit kind of the panoply of all of what we had in human conversations about what we call the golden rule. Mm-hmm. I loved what one philosopher was calling it is the universal moral code. And I was reading Jane Goodall, The Book of Hope, that was just written right before she passed away. And she talks about that in a chapter. It felt so good hearing her talk about it in such very plain language about, what the universal moral code is within all of us. And we went through everything from ancient Chinese philosophy all the way through the Middle East and up into the Norse traditions. And of course, we ended up with our final conversation just about some of the Western traditions that we all know in the Western part of the world. And it's been a universal thing. That's why it's called the Universal Moral Code. That book is actually called the Leader's Guide to Tomorrow. It will go through that whole exploration for you. But that's the basis of our substantial good. Mm-hmm. At least the way we're defining it within the Whigham School. And here's one thing I want to say. I don't think it's mutually exclusive for you to attain the good of life that you're looking for as a person and the substantial goods you can create as a leader. I think they walk hand in hand. And a lot of people think if I'm too worried about the world and the needs of the world, I will lose what I should be coming to me if I work hard and pull myself by my own bootstraps. What I'm saying is those things are not warring against each other, and one's not robbing energy from the other. Actually, they are building energy together, and they're stronger by working together. So I don't buy that.
So let's say I'm a billionaire miser.
Yeah.
And, I have almost no real friends, and I really don't want to do good with my money. How would we help that person understand that real good, even for them, is going to be to do something, even if it does mean ending up with a little less money? If I do what we're saying, I'm probably going to end up with, 1 billion when I die. And in my way of thinking, that's less good than 10 billion.
Yeah. It's always relative,
Does that go against what you're saying, where they don't have to be competing interests?
They don't have to be competing interests. I do agree with that. And it's hard. Inside the human heart, it's hard to make those kinds of value judgments. But I tell you what, Charles Dickens really attacked that problem in the Christmas Carol. That was a major focus. It deals really with the heart of a miser who has everything and just starts to look at life with that in mind. So he was able to see exactly what choices he has made by looking at himself through the lenses of other people. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we don't take time to do that. Say, what is my life, my contribution, the things I'm doing, how is it being viewed by others? Basically saying, would I like myself if I were not me and I saw me? Mm-hmm. If I were lesser than the current me that I am, if I looked at myself, would I consider that an admirable person or not so admirable person? I think that's a real mental battle that a lot of us need to kind of work through, and it will get us to that objective good.
Could be some trade-off, but it doesn't mean you just have to completely give up on yourself, because if I take an interest in others, it's going to make me a better person, probably make me happier.
Yeah.
And in the end, does it really matter if I die with 10 billion or 1 billion? I don't think that actually matters if we're, keeping score.
Yeah, and in the book, The Leader's Guide to Tomorrow, we talk about Robert Bosch in that book, a huge, wonderful German company. Robert Bosch's life was defined by a wealthy man who did incredibly philanthropic things in his life. It's really a phenomenal story. Now, he's the guy that gave us 8-hour workdays. He's the guy that gave us health care for employees. And one critic said to him one day, well, you're able to be generous with your people because you're rich. And Robert Bosch turned it around and said, oh, no. I'm rich because I've been generous with people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's a lot of recalibration that we need to do in our brains. I don't think our modern culture helps us make those value judgments and distinctions. We want that for the Whigham School graduate. We want them to be able to see with a much more solid lens that they can be successful, do remarkable things, become completely financially independent, and be a contributor to the good of others. And that would make us all very, very happy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we're doing this. And it gets us up in the morning.
So if we pull all that into the context of what we want to do then at the Whigham School, this makes me think of something else that substantial good means for us. If at the base level, of course, doing good for myself, but also doing the same thing for others.
Yes.
I think another way that we're going to be training students to understand what substantial good is by sending that into the world, all over the world, all kinds of cultures, many other languages, and they're going to have to understand other people who are very different from them. And then those people, those communities are the ones who are going to tell us this is substantial good for us, for our community.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to actually be hugely different across human societies. Obviously, there are parameters to it, because if you can imagine a hypothetical society that says, well, once we can eradicate everybody else and wipe them off the face of the earth, that will be good for us. Well, we have to draw some lines somewhere, right? This has to be for humanity as a whole. But we're not going to run across that for the most part. Let's work with a terrorist group.
That
or
is
something.
so true. That's right.
But teaching our students to go and listen, teaching leaders to go and listen to other people. What does your community need?
Yes.
Okay. That would be a positive for your community. We're going to help you achieve that.
That humility and that intellectual curiosity will lead them to a substantial good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what really excites us. So our program is baked with this in. This isn't something that's just we talk about with in an ethereal way. We're going to make it very tangible in the whole warp and woof of what we do with the Whigham School program. I think this is something that is desperately needed in our times. I think we need people who've been calibrated this way. They will lead us to much better times if we create them. And we need more than one. We need more than 10. We need more than 100. We need more than 1,000. We need more than 10,000 of these kinds of people who can help us moderate and build a substantial good mindset. And that will make, I think, tomorrow much better than today. And that's our hope, and that's our work, and that's what we're going to do.
I was going to say, we should probably tell people too that we actually we do have a complete definition of our phrase substantial good. Do you mind if I read that?
Yeah, go ahead and read that real quick. Yeah, we've codified it.
It's a high degree of good that leads to significant and sustainable net positive benefits on behalf of the people being served. In context of the Whigham School, it would include home populations as well as people from all regions of the globe. The Whigham School characterizes the scope of its reach of substantial good as everyone, everywhere. Whigham School itself will do that, but our graduates could go out
and
anywhere,
then the influences they have. Yeah, so the thing will
positive.
Well, it's been great talking about this, and we'll keep the conversation going. But if any of you have questions on this stuff, make sure you visit the website, whighamschool.org. And if you're interested in the book, thetomorrowleader.com, you can actually secure a copy. Thanks a lot, Jeremy. Thanks for sharing all this with us.
Thank you.
All right. Talk to you soon.